Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Plesac and Clevinger will be remembered together for the bonehead move they had over the weekend. It reminds me back in 1993 when Julian Tavares and Manny Ramirez were brought up from the minor leagues to come to the Indians. They both approached Paul Hoynes and Sheldon Ucker, two great writers, and asked to borrow $65,000 each so they could get a motorbike. Hoynes said, "Why don't you ask John Hart?" One of them replied, "We did." Well, what happened? They told us to ask you. We've got D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. More sports than Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th year, almost 25, coming up on September 1st. That's real soon, you know, although every day seems the same. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, is here. D-Man, I've said this, you've heard me say this 1 billion times. When people ask, well, how do you cover sports when nothing's going on, sports are shut down? I said, hang around in Cleveland, just wait a while, and by the end of the day, you'll have something. Sometimes two, maybe sometimes three. It's a haven.
There's always something going on in Cleveland sports, Les. I mean, who would have thought, other than the fact that it's Cleveland sports, who would have thought that since the last time we talked, a civil war would break out among the Indians' rotation, the best rotation in Major League Baseball. And I mean, you can't even think these things up, and yet they happen.
They happen. All right, chime in on the latest thing. You're talking about Clevinger and Plesac, and the list goes on and on and on. There may be more. They're telling us that that's the end of it, but who knows? Would you guess that MLB security caught them, or somebody called MLB security? It doesn't seem like a normal way things get found out.
Yeah, and of course we refer to Zach Plesac and Mike Clevinger going out after Saturday's game. Plesac for sure, and then Clevinger reportedly with Plesac after Saturday's game in which Plesac pitched. And that was a violation of protocol. They weren't supposed to leave the hotel. I don't know if it was a combination of MLB and Indian security or just MLB security, but in any event, Plesac got hit first. And then, and he came clean and was contrite about it, but he was immediately put into quarantine. Meanwhile, Mike Clevinger acted as if nothing was wrong and was even, listening to the criticisms of Plesac, all the while knowing he had done the exact same thing, and he wasn't busted until Monday, or it didn't become known to the Indians until Monday. And so you have 2/5 of this incredible pitching, this incredible rotation, both violating protocol, both on the restricted list, and then on top of all of that, just when you think it couldn't get any worse, Adam Plutko, who started yesterday in place of Clevinger, drops about 20 bombs on top of Plesac and Clevinger's heads, saying they lied to us. I mean, Adam Plutko was one of the biggest national stories yesterday based on what he said after the game yesterday regarding Zach Plesac and Mike Clevinger.
Well, somebody said today that, well, what's the big deal? Nobody got hurt and all that. Nobody got hurt. You got Terry Francona, who's what, 60? How old is Tito?
61, I believe.
61. You got pitching coaches. Now you have hitting coaches. You're talking about something a little more serious than going out to dinner. And by the way, in the new bargaining agreement, do they have 2-for-1 meal package? Does that come in on that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Les, it's not just Terry Francona who wasn't with them in Chicago. You think about, at least I do, the first name that comes to my mind is Carlos Carrasco, battling leukemia, incredible story just to be out there. And the fact that not only his teammates, but his members of his rotation were, at least in the Clevinger case, on the plane with him going back to Cleveland. And then, of course, Plesac doing it as well. Uh, the idea that they would have, those two guys would have Carrasco as their teammate and not recognize what they were doing was way out of bounds is confounding to me. And in the case of Clevinger, did he honestly think he was going to get away with this for the remainder of the year by not saying anything at the time and not saying, hey, you know what? I did this too. I don't know what he was expecting, but the bottom line is it's going to be a very difficult fence to mend. That's for sure.
Yeah, and of course you talk about Carrasco, and I'm talking about Terry Francona. It's just a bad situation. Maybe it's a good thing the season isn't all that long. In the meantime, Clevinger did issue an apology to the Indians over the weekend. He says there's an implicit trust that each of my teammates share as we navigate through the season of the pandemic, and broke that trust. In Chicago, that mistake, violating protocols, but the biggest mistake was that not all was coming clean to my teammates. So I don't know. Do you give him credit for that or not give him credit?
Yeah, that's really a difficult one, Les, because I'm not saying I was willing to excuse Zach Plesac, but you can at least understand it a little bit. He had pitched on Saturday Saturday afternoon. He had friends in the area, and he probably said, you know what, I want to sneak out and hang a little bit. Not good by any means. I'm not excusing it, but I'm saying you could at least see where that was coming from. What I cannot see,
I don't think he thought it out that much.
Okay, well, even if he didn't think it out, Les, what I can't see is Clevinger. I just don't know how you could go along with Plesac, or you and Plesac are together. He gets busted, you don't at that moment, and then you just think, well, let's just conduct business as usual and hope I don't get caught. That is so bizarre. That is strange. And honestly, Les, I'm not one of those people who looks at starting pitching and says, well, you have to move them. But in the case of Clevinger, I don't know. This is a tough one. This is going to be very, very difficult for the Indians to get over this.
All right, we'll come back. We'll talk more about it. If you want to call in and give us your ideas, we're open at 216-575-0403. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? Well, people have been winning over the past 6 months in record numbers, and winning is happening all over the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio lottery game, and play it today. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Less Levine. And you can follow us all day. We present the question to you that morning. You respond to it, then we put it on the air that night. Real easy. All all powered by cleveland.com. We'll come back in a moment. Dennis Manoloff with us, Mary Kay Cabot tomorrow. More Sports and Less Levine continues in a moment.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, Become an Ohio State tech subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Hello and welcome back to More Sports and Less Levine with Dennis Manoloff. This is
D-Man.
Brian in the control room.
Look at Brian.
Listen, D-Man, we all know one of Charlie Sheen's most notorious roles in his acting career was playing Ricky Vaughn in Major League. Ricky Vaughn wore note number 99. James Karinchak, one of the Indians relievers, also wears 99. So in effect to that, Charlie Sheen put out a tweet praising James Karinchak. This is what he had to say.
He's passing the
Dear
torch.
James Karinchak, it's official. We are on a full tilt cosmic collision course. I'll take some credit for passing the torch, but my man, you are now using it to burn down forests of Louisville sluggers. Karinchak, in his early career with the Indians this season, has pitched 7 1/3 innings with allowing only 3 hits. Opponents are batting 150 against him, allowing 0 earned runs, 13 strikeouts, and 3 walks.
Brian and D-Man. D-Man, you can't treat this lightly. This is a coveted award for him to have.
Yeah, Les, and you'll have to fill me in on what Brian said because I had technical difficulties over here. I couldn't hear him.
Well, it appears that Charlie Sheen is gladly passing on number 99 from Charlie Vaughn over to Karinchak, and I think this is a very, very coveted award that he's getting, and it should not be taken lightly in any way, shape, or form.
I agree. And listen, here's the irony of it. James Karinchak is anything but the wild thing right now, okay? He's got pretty darn good control. He's dominant. It's the kind of stuff that, he's showing the kind of stuff and the kind of moxie that you heard about for several years when he was buzzing through the minor leagues. So it's exciting to see number 99 in your scorecard.
He's found a home, and you can't revoke it at any cost. All right, let's talk. We talked about what happened off the field. Still not sure I'm not totally sure that that's all it's going to be, by the way. Might be somebody else involved. Might be. But as I look at what's going on in the field, I'm surprised. They lost last night. Cubs handled them easily. But the Indians come into this series, one more game tonight at 6:15, and they're in a situation where they've won, 5 out of 6 before that? So it makes it, I think it was 5 out of 6. They're not hitting the ball at all, and I don't understand that because that lineup on paper should get you some runs. Doesn't have to get you 10 runs a game. Should be able to find a way to get a couple, though, right?
Yes, Les, and one of these days, the Francisco Lindor crowd that worships the ground he walks on is going to admit that maybe, just maybe, their guy isn't playing well. I mean, every time you try to point out that Frankie Lindor has been part of the offense's problem, you get all this crap thrown at you about how he's the best shortstop in baseball. How dare you criticize Frankie Lindor? He's Mr. Smile. Everybody loves him. Well, you know what? Once in a while, you got to look at the star, the guy who's supposedly the star, and say, you know what? What are you doing? What's going on, Frankie Lindor? He's not the only problem, but he's one of them.
I got to believe there's at least 3 games that I can think of that he's just has to hit the ball, put the ball in play, and they get the run and they probably get the win. But on the other hand, this doesn't change his value. Nobody's looking at him in the first 20 games and saying, boy, that guy, we overrated him. He's still the top player in demand, I would think, coming up in the offseason.
Sure, he's going to get his money. Somebody's going to pay him. All it takes is one in free agency. I'm simply saying that it's just amazing how the certain group, not everybody, of course, a certain group of people wrap their arms around Frankie Lindor, and if you dare say anything negative about him, you're all of a sudden shouted into the corner as some sort of a baseball heretic. It makes me ill.
Let's go to Bill, who's in North Railton. Hello, Bill.
Hey, guys. Les, I actually may be more old school than you, if that's possible, but I wanted to comment on Clevinger. I go to spring training every year, including this past year. Actually just got it in before they close it up. And Clevinger is always the first one out there, sweating like crazy by 9:15, working hard. And to the best of my knowledge, this is the first time he stubbed his toe. And I think the guy, he's a family guy. I know he's had a couple of kids. I think the guy deserves a gimme. I think one time is enough to say, all right, don't do it again. You jeopardize this. You know you did wrong. But I go back to the days of maybe Keith Hernandez, who took the money and didn't play and had drug issues. Even Albert Bell, I was very appreciative of his offense, but, enough was enough with his antics. I just think Clevinger ought to get a pass on what he did. I think he's learned from it, and based upon his prior experience, I think he's a pretty upright guy.
Well, I talked to 2 national guys, or listened to 2 national guys talking, and I don't think I think they had some questions about him before this all came along.
Well, I hadn't heard that. I had not heard that, unless he's changed. But these are kind of crazy times, and I can kind of understand Plesac. He's in his hometown. He just had a major league win. He's a young guy, probably exercised bad judgment on where he went, and perhaps Clevinger even thought, well, maybe it's just going to be over at somebody's house. We'll wear masks. I don't know. I know we don't know the whole story, but until we do, I think we ought to give him a little bit of a pass based on what I know to be his past experience.
Yeah, D-Man, what do you think about that?
Well, I love Bill, a great baseball man, but I respectfully disagree in the Clevinger case because, at the very least, he should have come clean when Plesac was popped. And on top of that, he even could have said, you know what, Zach Plesac is the guy who's getting busted here, but it ultimately was my responsibility as the elder statesman, even though Clevinger's not that old. I should have been the one to make sure that Zach did not go out at all. And so both of us are responsible, but I'm more responsible. Not only did Clevinger not do any of that, he tried to pretend as though nothing was wrong and that he was just another part of the team when he knew full well what he had done. And the idea that with all that had happened before to not only the Indians, but to Major League Baseball. You think about the Indians with Delino DeShields. You think about the Indians with Franmil Reyes and how he had to, get busted by the Indians for his one time out there without a mask. You think about MLB. Marlins shut down for a while. The Cardinals shut down. The warnings that came from Rob Manfred about players have to be absolutely vigilant. All that predated what Plesac and Clevinger did. So it's mind-blowing to me that they would go ahead and do this, and certainly in the Clevinger case that he thought he could get away with it.
Well, I agree with everything you said, Dennis. I, too, respect your opinion. I think probably part of what I'm feeling now is I'm just so grateful to have some professional sports, especially baseball, that I'm probably wishing that things would just, somewhat go back to normal. Baseball's kind of given us a little bit of normalcy. And again, having watched Clevinger, and I was never a big Clevinger fan. I became a Clevinger fan by seeing how hard he worked, much harder than I thought anybody else I've seen out at spring training in the last 3 years. But I'm probably influenced by the fact that we need him if we're going to have a competitive team, maybe make the playoffs, maybe do something in the playoffs. We've got to have 5 solid starting pitchers and whatever else we can put together.
Yeah, you got to find a way to score more than 1.5 runs a game.
Well, the thing I was going to comment on that, Les. I watched last night's game very closely, and it just seemed to me that the Cubs hitters didn't go outside the strike zone, where for about 4 of our guys, all you had to do was throw a low breaking ball, and they were swinging at it in good pitch counts too. I mean,
but I'm not going to sit here and blame the batting coach who just left. It's going to take more time for the new coach to get involved.
That may be, but I think more selection in their swings would produce a little bit more. Plus, I'd like to see them running more. I think if we're not hitting, put a bunt down, run a little bit.
Well, who can run? Who can run on this team?
Is run still part of baseball anymore?
Yeah, but who can run on this team? Ramirez a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, Ramirez is
Lindor a little bit.
Base runner. DeShields is a heads-up base runner. Lindor, I think.
Zimmer.
I don't know. It seemed like we had some fairly smart runners. Zimmer has been a big disappointment.
I'm not sure how much he'll be around.
Looks like it's 3 inches too short or something.
I'm not sure how much he'll be along. Bill, as always, thank you very much. Stay safe out there. 216-575-0403.
And Les, let me jump in with one thing.
Yeah.
Let me clarify. When I said that it's possible that the Indians could move on from Clevinger, number one, that's remote. So I would say it's improbable, but at least there's a sliver of it. Number two, they wouldn't, even if they were to move on, they're not going to give him away just because he had this transgression. I'm simply saying that something this calculating by a player is cause for concern. Let's put it that way.
Northeast, west, and south, 3 locations plus the great website you're going to want to check out before you go out and look. That's at the south, and of course you've got Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, as well as the Freeway Drive. That's in Macedonia, and West 140 at the original one. They've been in business over 20 years. Nobody does it better than Alex and his group. We'll take a break. Come back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature's Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature's Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature's Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Hello and welcome back to More Sports and Les Levine. This is Brian again in the control room. Les and Dennis, Colin Cowherd decided to make a run at making his predictions for how the AFC North is going to shape out this year. This is what he came up with. He predicted that the Baltimore Ravens are going to go 16-0 this year. The Browns will finish second at 9-7, Pittsburgh third at 7-9, and Cincinnati at 2-14. What he had to say about the Ravens? I think Baltimore is going to go 16-0, and I think they're going to fly through the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. I've never predicted that before. And what he had to say about the Browns, they're the Noah's Ark of the NFL. They have 2 of everything, referring to Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and Austin Hooper and David Njoku.
Well, let's first start by saying what's wrong with having two of everybody if they're good?
And here's the thing. Are you sure he wasn't referring to Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum as well?
I don't know. It's low-hanging fruit time. It's time for Colin Cowherd to get on the Cleveland teams, and he does it very well, by the way.
Listen, Colin Cowherd's a big name in sports talk radio, and when he loves a team, he really, really loves the team, and he's obviously fallen in love with the Ravens and how they do things, and that's fine. I mean, the Ravens are the gold standard in the AFC North right now, and they've added pieces. They look really, really good. They have a young core. I want national types such as Colin Cowherd to sing the Ravens' praises to the heavens. I want 16-0 predictions for the Ravens. I want the Steelers to be predicted to finish better than the Browns, even the Bengals. Let the Browns sneak up on people again rather than have this target on their back like they did last year and flaming out and finishing 6-10.
All right, so Colin had two of the same initials. I'm going to bring in two of the same initials from Pepper Pike. It's BP. BP, you're on with the D-Man. Go ahead.
Talk to you both. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing well. D-Man, you doing okay? Yeah, D-Man's doing fine too.
Cool. Well, yeah, I called your call screener. I picked up Sports Illustrated today, and they've got the Browns going 9-7 and missing the playoffs. So I just thought I'd call you on that. Where they've got the Steelers also going 9-7 but making the playoffs.
Fine, BP. Fine. Let them say the Browns are not going to make the playoffs. I'm good with that.
I don't know how you can say. I don't know how you can say the Browns and Pittsburgh will be each 9-7, but only one will make the playoffs, and then be definitive about it.
Well, that's what Sports Illustrated did. But my thought, looking at the schedule, is the Browns there's a lot of games that really could go either way, just based on past history, such as the Eagles game, the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts, and even the Raiders. The Raiders are a pretty good team. Sports Illustrated's got them going 9-7. So what do you think? What does D-Man think about some of those games?
Let me just hop in before. If Cleveland goes 9-7, they're making the playoffs. Okay, go ahead.
BP, let me just say this. The reason why I just said to Les, I want national media to dump on the Browns. The Browns haven't proven anything. I mean, coming off of 7-8-1, they were being crowned as a Super Bowl contender, and they fell flat on their face with the first-year NFL head coach in Freddie Kitchens. This year, they're coming off 6-10. They haven't proven a thing, so I don't want them installed as favorites in anything, division, conference, what have you. As far as the season playing out, a lot of it is going to depend on how the coaching staff handles the COVID-19 situation, the protocols. It does benefit. I'm pretty sure it's going to benefit the teams who have systems already in place, who have veteran coaches. Read the Baltimore Ravens with their system under John Harbaugh. It's going to be harder for the new team, the new coaches, the new systems, even as smart as Stefanski and the gang are. It's going to be harder for them in this type of environment, in the 2020 global pandemic environment. So the Browns face an uphill climb, certainly within their division.
No, I agree with you on that. And one thing I did want to mention, last night was the opening episode of Hard Knocks on HBO, and I felt I usually love that type of show, but I felt it was really boring because all they were talking about was, cleaning the locker rooms for COVID-19. Did you guys see that show?
No, I didn't see it, but I can imagine that's the only way they could go with it.
What's the team, BP? What's the team?
They're doing two teams, the LA Rams and the LA Chargers. So they're doing two teams simultaneously, which that part was interesting, where they're showing Anthony Lynn coaching the Chargers and Sean McVay coaching the Rams. So they're going to cram a lot of information into an hour show.
All right, BP, thanks so much for calling. As always, stay safe out
Thanks,
there.
BP.
216-575-0403. D-Man, you know I'm involved. You got this fundraiser, a virtual walk with the Parkinson's. I had the opportunity today to interview, let me see how I can say it and have you guess who it was. This is a player, extremely good player in the 90s, baseball. Now has Parkinson's for the last 4 or 5 years. Tell me who thinks he was the best player in baseball. This guy that I interviewed today, I said, hey, you know, I think you're one of the most underrated guys of the 70s. He says, no, I wasn't underrated. I was the best player in the 70s. Who do you think it was?
Best player in the 70s?
Yeah.
Rod Carew?
No.
George Brett?
No.
No, he would have been 80s. Brett would have been the 80s.
Well, maybe I got the wrong years, too. I'm talking about Dave Parker. How high would you put it? Was he all 70s and 80s?
Yeah, Parker was primarily 70s for sure, and some of the 80s.
He was
yes.
He was a great interview. Still thinks he's as good as those guys, but he follows the game and he makes statements that back up how he feels about it. I like to hear that kind of guy. I guess I lost him in the translation for a while there because he did have a problem off the field, and so that I put it out of my mind, I think. But when you say Parker's one of the top 10 players in the 70s going into the 80s, I think I'd have to agree with him.
Yeah, Dave Parker was a really, really, really good player, and I remember his cannon in the outfield, but also he had a heck of a bat, the Cobra, and you know what? The visual that pops into my mind as soon as you say Dave Parker is actually a strikeout. It's Lenny Barker's strikeout of Parker in the 1981 All-Star game.
Yeah.
I think Lenny was 6 up and 6 down in that All-Star game. So I remember Parker swinging at a letter-high fastball and, basically spinning himself into the ground. But Dave Parker was a tremendous player.
And it was a great interview. In the meantime, he's involved in the Parkinson's Foundation, and we've got this virtual event coming up. I'd like you to take a look at it. There you have the information, events.com.beinmotion.com. My team's name is Moving More with Less. If you can put in $5, $8, $18, whatever, we'd appreciate it very much. Coming up on the 13th of the month of September, and you can be part of it. We're not trying to hit you up big time. Anything you can give helps the families of people with Parkinson's, and it helps pay for a lot of the costs that they can't afford. We'll take a break. We'll come on back with the D-Man, Dennis Manoloff. We are powered by cleveland.com.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your 4-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Dennis Manoloff with us, and we'll talk Browns here in a second, but I also want to talk about what's going on in college football. How come members of the media can sports history. Well, there you have it right there. Today's sports history brought to you by Smiley One Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, is with us. Mary Kay Cabot will be here Thursday. That's tomorrow night. Let's take a look at the birthdays today. And there you go. Birthdays. Antoine Walker's in there. Dennis, not one of the great names of all time. 216-575-0403 is our number. Mary Kay was here last week. She brought up a name, and Nike Ngakwe. It says he's available, and it might be somebody to take a look at. 25 years old, 4 NFL seasons, 41 tackles, switched agents, which at this time of the year may show there might be a problem. What do you think about this name, if any, D-Man?
I've had that name on my radar for a little bit here, and if Mary Kay says it, then I agree with it, of course. But yeah, he's a guy that's been out there that has been overshadowed by Clowney, but I wouldn't mind seeing him come here.
CBS Sports still lists the Browns as a fit for free agent Everson Griffin. What do you think about him? 6'3", 273, 32 years old, 41 tackles last year, 7 for losses, and he's a 4-time Pro Bowler. There's a name of interest, but again, if they're sitting there a couple days before practice starts, there's got to be something wrong. Too much money, not enough ability anymore. Who knows?
Yeah, you would think there's something up there. Maybe the 32, the age, but I prefer Yannick.
Right. 216-575-0403. You happy going into this season?
Yes, I am. Of course you can improve, but I mean, realistically, how much more can the Browns improve based on what's out there?
Right.
You just mentioned two names, but
they do have some money from the cap space, but I don't know if that's the way you want to spend it.
Yeah, and I think if you're the Browns and you feel good about that front that includes or that features Miles and of course has Ogunjobi and Richardson, but you're also saying Olivier Vernon has got to be better than he was in 2019 for two reasons. Number one, you're figuring he's going to be healthier. And number two, when he is healthy, he's going to be more productive than he was in 2019. So I'm not saying that they automatically think that they're the best, front or they have the best defense or offense, but they have a lot of what we believe to be talented players. Now it's time to prove it.
All right. When we come back, we want to finish up, talk about the Big Ten and college football, if you think there's going to be any. I still have doubts as to what's going to happen. I'm not sure what I'm hearing. And we'll also finish up, talk about the Indians. Let's take a break. More Sports and Les Levine continues, powered by cleveland.com. Hey, Brian.
Now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Pearl Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
Here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Welcome back. More sports and less Levine, powered by cleveland.com. The D-Man Dennis Manoloff with us tomorrow night, and Mary Kay Cabot. Monday, Doug Maurice will be here. We'll get lots to talk about Ohio State and NCAA football, so get your questions and comments in for that. D-Man, we have a question of the day, and that is, who would you pick as your favorite current Cleveland sports athlete? LeBron's not here, so you can't pick him. Do you have to make you think about it, or you got a name there?
Probably this guy just came on the scene very recently, and I really, really like him, Aaron Savale. Here's the thing, Les. Kipnis was my favorite Cleveland athlete, but now he's in Chicago playing the Indians. But now that Kipnis is out of here, Savale to me is my favorite Cleveland athlete.
Were you happy to see Kipnis get a rip to right field?
Yes, I was. I mean, obviously,
game was
the
over by
Cubs
then.
win. I can't stand that, but I really, I'm glad. Anytime Jason Kipnis has success, I'm happy about it.
All right, let's take a look at what people say. Who's the favorite Cleveland sports athlete who's no longer here? And Josh Woodward says, well, I guess they are here also. Josh Woodward says Juice Landry is his guy. Aaron Wood says Odell Beckham Jr. Glenn Berger says Jose Ramirez, followed by Kevin Love. And Larry Pantages says since the advent of the free agency movement came along and Cleveland didn't get along well together with it, I'll still say Kevin Love and agree to stay. Because he agreed to stay, and he also has a Beach Boy connection. Lenny Freed says Stipe Miocic. Does that fight Saturday?
Saturday night.
This
Yeah,
Saturday
in Vegas.
night. Wow, Stipe Miocic will be defending his title on Saturday. Andy Mees says Shane Bieber, young stud pitcher who could even become better, barring injury, and he's got the philanthropic, and he's philanthropic. He will take what's not to like about this young right-hander. Absolutely correct. Everything about him, which makes it more sort of unbelievable that what happened over the weekend. I mean, they all look like they're all good young guys, good character, want to win, good teammates. I don't think there's anybody who could have told you before this weekend that these guys weren't good teammates. Obviously, one of them is not.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not, let's put it this way. If you polled a bunch of major league, I'm guessing this, of course. If you polled a bunch of major leaguers and said which pitching staff is going to have all kinds of heck break loose on it, I would imagine the Indians staff, as far as off the field stuff, would be way down the list.
Especially when you have Francona as the manager, and you got that the young front office. You'd think well, I can't even imagine how this came about. Knowing the front office, ownership, and all this, I can't imagine how this came about.
Unless I'm glad you had mentioned it before. You mentioned it again, Terry Francona. I mean, he returned yesterday after an 8-game absence because of a gastrointestinal issue. Okay. When he left, when he exited in that, before the Minnesota game in Minnesota, and he was back at the hotel when they played and Sandy Alomar took over. Subsequent to that, Chris Antonetti, the general manager, said that this is something that has been bothering Francona since spring training. Well, yesterday, he tells the media, he told us on WTM, and I'm sure he told the media at the ballpark, not just spring training, this dates back to last October, that he's been to the Cleveland Clinic 5 or 6 times for procedures. So,
not just
and he was saying he said he didn't feel all that great when he was talking to us on the radio yesterday, and he made no guarantees he was going to be able to finish the season without having to step out again. So Terry Francona has been dealing with something that is a lot more significant than maybe we thought at first.
Well, and also with everybody talking about Francisco Lindor, I would think some decision might be made already about next year with Terry Francona, and I'd hate to go into another season with a managerial change. I mean, we're wishing for the best for Tito, no question about that. But from the Indian standpoint, everybody loves Sandy Alomar. Do you think he's the right guy to take over?
It certainly wouldn't hurt less than many people believe that Sandy Alomar Jr. is the Indians manager in waiting, that he will take over when Terry Francona decides he's had enough. And by the way, Terry Francona will make that decision. Nobody else. The Indians are never going to fire him. It's all up to Terry Francona to say, I've had it. He's earned that. But there are plenty of people who believe that Alomar is a successor. It wasn't long ago that he was a hot managerial commodity. He certainly hasn't gotten any, less smart about the game. He's very, he's a very sharp guy, a former catcher, well respected amongst his peers and amongst the players. So if somebody has to step in, it might as well be Sandy Alomar Jr. I just hope for Terry Francona's sake that, he's a gamer. He said, because we asked him, why would you come back if you're not feeling 100%? or as close to 100% as you're going to feel at this time. He says, because I'm a manager. It's my job. I got to do that. My hope is that by the end of the season, whatever has been ailing him for almost a year actually gets corrected to where he doesn't have to deal with this kind of stuff. But I don't know if it can be corrected because we don't know exactly what it is.
I'm just sitting here thinking, and I think of Francona I think he's got the most services manager. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Joe Madden might. But in this day and age, managers don't seem to be as important to ball clubs as they used to be. Seems like you could put in one of these hotshot guys and be okay. I don't think they have the rapport with the team that they used to have. But now you look at what happened with the Indians; they apparently don't have much rapport either.
Well, there's a couple reasons for that, maybe less. One is that it seems like half of MLB is in a rebuild. And when you're in a rebuild, you're generally going to ride with with younger managers or maybe unproven managers. There are exceptions to that. Ron Gardenhire overseeing a rebuild in Detroit. But, I don't know that. And by the way, if you're rebuilding, sometimes the higher-ups, the bosses say, okay, you rebuild it to a certain point, and then when it's ready to win, we're going to drop the proven manager in there. So that could be it. But Terry Francona is one of, if not the best manager in baseball. And to me, it's more important that he get healthy as a human being. But I certainly enjoy having him in the Indians dugout.
Just in conversation about that, you got to go back about 15 years to find somebody you'd put in instead of him, wouldn't you? If I gave you a list of managers.
Mike Hargrove, to me, is the next guy, that I would want to see as manager of the Indians. When you talk about Indians since 19 whatever, I mean, in my lifetime, I'm trying to think. In my lifetime, I would say the best two managers of the Cleveland Indians were Mike Hargrove and now Terry Francona.
I don't think there's any question about that. 216-575-0403 is the number if you want to get in. We got a couple of minutes, and the line is open if you want to get in. Do it right now. We'll come back, finish up talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes and more. More sports and less. Levine continues, and it's powered by cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
All right, tomorrow night, Mary Kay Cabot will join us, who covers the Browns, of course, for so many years. George Veras, who's with the Hall of Fame in Canton, will join us with some pretty interesting stuff you'll want to see and participate in. That's tomorrow night. You see us from 6 until 7, and that's Monday through Friday Eastern Time, and you can follow us all day long as you can archive us right here on cleveland.com. Let's take a look at some How Come Quickies. D-Man, you ready to rate some of these?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Eastside Eddie writes in, how come my new sneaker ad campaign never gained any traction. Huh. This,
dude, this, and this.
Yeah, I understand. All right, Big Ed, how come the women who put dish detergent on the top shelf jump for joy? What is that?
Medium.
Medium. Okay.
Yes. No opinion. No.
Mr. Gullible. Hey, Mr. Gullible, thank you so much for your contribution to take part in our fund. Our
Love Gullible.
Into one of our Parkinson's. This is from Mr. Gullible. How come when my wife said she changed her mind, I told her I hope it works better than the last one? Good? Real good?
Yeah.
How about this one? How come I got so drunk last night, I walked across the dance floor to get another drink, and I won the dance contest? Oh, boy. This is how they tell you you're done, D-Man. They make the plugs come out of your ear. They don't give you a last check or anything. They just said, I'm pulling the plug on this. That's where it came from originally. I'm pulling the plug on this. All right, Ohio State, do you think it's going to hold true, or do you think they're going to somehow come back and perform a miracle here?
I don't think the Big Ten is going to play. I don't think Ohio State's going to go rogue. I don't even know if they have the ability to go rogue, if they're allowed to. As for a January season, which Ryan Day is a proponent of because he's got a great team and he wants to play, I don't think that's realistic either. I think it's pretty disingenuous to say, and I'm not saying Ryan Day's saying this, I'm just talking about if you endorse that plan, you're looking at 2 seasons within a calendar year. That's too much toll to be taken on the body, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. Urban Meyer is totally against. He's been against that from day one, and so there's a little split between the coach and the former coach. It's just hard for me to believe that it's come to this. It's hard for me to believe that some conference teams will find a way to play, and I'm including Notre Dame on that. And something's going to happen, and it can't be good. Now, I heard today a report from Columbus that 10 out of the 11 teams will have students on campus. So that breaks down the argument of if you don't have students, how can you have a football team? But I'm not sure how many people they mean will be in on that.
Right, Les. You know what's stunning to me out of all this is the Power Fives figure out what to do. Big Ten, no. Pac-12, no. But Big 12 going ahead as of now. SEC, ACC, we haven't heard. The difference of opinions in the medical community specific to each conference. You would think the NCAA, as monolithic as it can be, as big and broad as it can be, would have an overarching medical establishment that would determine whether its member institutions do something or don't do something.
Yeah, and they don't.
But in the case of the Power Fives, it's as if you're getting different medical advice from each conference.
Right.
Doctors associated with each conference have different opinions. How weird is that?
And if they do split up here, most people would think that, I don't care what they say, it's really about the money. Sometimes it's hard to make an argument on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Les, before we go, I do want to say this. I was doing some research about Dave Parker during the breaks. He was a 70s and 80s guy. In 1978, MVP for the Pirates. In 77, 78, he went back-to-back 338, 334 batting averages. And then his good performance continued with Pittsburgh into the 80s, then Cincinnati. And as late as 1985, he hit 42 doubles for the Reds.
Wow.
And drove in 125 runs.
You know, sometimes you get guys in certain eras mixed up. I totally had him play. I know he played with the A's at the end or somewhere in there. I totally had him playing under Charlie Finley. I thought he was part of those teams at the end, and he wasn't, and I apologize to him.
Yeah, he was definitely a crossover, though, between the 70s and 80s.
And his statement that he was one of the best players, hard to argue.
I mean, anytime you're an MVP, you can make a statement like that, and he was the MVP in 78.
Yeah. All right, we got to go. Thanks to D-Man. When are you on 1100?
WTAM tomorrow night, 7 to 11, subbing for Triv on Fridays, 3 to 6.
Look at you.
And post-game shows Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Look at you. Time to hit him up for a big contract.
I'm honored and privileged.
D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, Mary Kay Cabot tomorrow, Doug Lay Marie's on Monday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.